Well, good morning. How are you, friends, today? It is Friday, TGIF. And I brought up a topic yesterday that's got me going here, and that was a subject came by my recognition, community of one purse. And I'm reminded in the Bible, after the death of Jesus, particularly Acts 1 and 2, there's a description there of a community that had certain characteristics in common. All right. Remember, Judas carried the money. Okay. And the people were fed communally and they lived in the houses that they owned. Okay. And they were of different occupations. But what they followed was their teacher and his ethic about how to treat each other, because they didn't want to treat each other the way the Roman Empire treated each other. Now, there was a previous prototype of a community like this, and that, of course, is the original community of Moses and the Hebrews who settled Israel long, long, long ago. And that community is described in its laws, in its 613 mitzvot. And that too was a community wherein the people dealt primarily with each other and made minimal use of money and shared and cared about each other and cared about their community lands as a unit, okay, a community of one person. So I got into that and I found out, for one thing, I used to know Patch Adams pretty well when he had a community in Arlington, Virginia that was just called The Community. And it was a little software company that occupied several houses and had their business, and they took care of themselves. They were autonomous within, like a blister, within the larger city of our district of Arlington. Okay. They were autonomous financially and ideologically. So I looked at Communities magazine, which originated there with Patch. And I see today Communities magazine is all about the Greens movement, cooperative communities, and how they're faring in the United States. Now, some years ago, there were about 500 communities in the United States and 500 tribes. And these are groupings of individuals who choose to live together. They're not family related, or they are, some of them are. But they opt out of the usual corporate culture. They opt out of human resource management. They opt out of local schools. They opt out of local churches. They do their own churching and their own schooling and their own economics. A community of one purse. And that is what Jesus taught. All right, so who are, in the United States, the communities of one purse are the Amish, Mennonites, Hutterites, and Catholic convents and monasteries. In Britain, they have a little different face. They have a few communities of Bruderhof and 12 tribes. There's 12 tribes in the United States also. But they're primarily Anglican and Catholic. Now, the history of communities, in Britain anyway, was that the Templars during the Middle or Dark Ages, being in control of banking funds, funded, subsidized, organized up to 800 communities in the British Isles. which King Henry VIII summarily disbanded and destroyed when he got into a fist fight with the Vatican over his divorce and remarriage. Whereas in Henry VIII's day, there were 800 communities. Today, if you add up all of the various varieties and denominations of communities of one purse, there are only about 100 of them left, okay, with a total of a few thousand people in England. I call it England, okay, not Britain, I call it England, and that's because that the laws that created the kingdom of one purse communities are English laws. They're not British laws. Okay. And Graham Moore is the one who brought that to my attention. Thank you very much, Graham Moore. Okay. So it's England. It's not Britain. Okay. And so there are still about 100 communities in Britain, England. And I'd say there are probably less than 10,000 members in a total cumulative population of what, around 70 million for all the islands there. It used to be 60 million for a long time, but there's been a lot of migrants. And so what has happened with the massive migration is that the English, Irish, Scottish, Welsh, British culture, if it wants to survive, is going to have to do as Islam does, as the Sikh religion does, and encapsulate themselves into cultural units, okay? Because diversity has pretty well racked and ruined the population landscape of Britain as it used to exist. Britain is not all white, Anglo-Saxon, Scottish, Welsh, Irish, Catholic, Protestant. It's not all white anymore. And so for people who want the original culture, they really need to get on the ball and create enclaves for themselves the way the Sikhs and the Islamists, the Muslims do. Enclaves, because that's what a community of one purse is. It's an enclave of people who live together, work together, school their children together, go to church together, and they have an identity. All right. Now, it's not a simple thing to do, but it's not impossible given the operation of God's Holy Spirit and the spirit of hard work. All right. And so what I'm doing presently is bringing this idea to the various social media and saying, hey, globalism, like the Roman Empire, has made it imperative that people, devotional, religious, observant followers of holy law and Jesus Christ, are going to need to do like the Christians did in the Roman Empire, and that is create enclaves in the midst of the empire, because the empire is all commercial. The empire runs on maritime admiralty and corporate statutes. The maritime, the corporate empire doesn't give a shit about your culture or your family or the future of your bloodline. And if you want to be in a nation, a world, a place where you have those attributes available to you, you're going to have to get off your butt and organize with some people and create something. create a community where your community has autonomy, your community has dominion over its holdings through a trust, an estate trust in law. That's the only way we women are going to be safe on the streets anymore, due to the prevalence in religious teachings that taqiyya, which is treachery, jizya, which is protection tax racketeering, okay, jihad, which is sedition, and blasphemy, which is silencing your enemies, has become the official doctrine and practice of the New World Order, because the New World Order is commercial. The New World Order panders to, aids, and abets human trafficking through social services, all right, slavery in its prison and education systems, all right, victimization in its medical cartels and drug cartels who are profiteering off drugs and procedures. You see how cynical the globalist New World Order is. It's very cynical. If we want to escape from that form of cynicism, it can't just be by wishing. We can't wish that they would go away. We can't fight for legislation that might limit this but will cause that. Legislation is always iffy because it's always going to change. Now, the kingdoms, the monarchies that are left in Northern Europe are all based on laws of the land and on small communities of one person, small economies of one person, and mutual cooperation. The monarchies are not cynical, but the globalist New World Order is cynical. And the choice that we have to make is, what kind of a life do we want? There goes my voice. All right, so that's what I'm studying, and I hope you find it interesting, and it's something to pursue. And so let's see what we can do to increase the number of small communities that are autonomous enough to protect their residents from the cynical, commercial, consumerist New World Order. Let's see what we can do about that. I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.